Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Let me introduce myself. I am Pramod Shivaprasad. I'm a senior software developer with expertise over C Sharp and .NET. The reason why I started this YouTube channel is to try to give a little bit back to community because every day I use free content over in YouTube or any technical blogs or the websites and utilize them a lot. So I wanted to try if I can at least do a little bit back to community. So that is the motto. So this is about me. Let me know about yourself in the comment section. Let's connect and grow together. Having said that, let's start with today's episode. In this episode, let's discuss about authentication and precisely about Azure AD B2C based authentication. So I wanted to show you how easy it is to add authentication to any application using Azure AD B2C. Azure AD B2C is a cloud-based identity and access management solution. So any application can use Azure AD B2C to authenticate and authorize users through customizable workflows. Azure AD B2C supports different forms of authentication. One is a local account where user credentials are stored in the Azure AD B2C directory. The other one is external identity, where user credentials are stored and managed by federated identities like Google, Facebook. We would have seen this in many applications, sign in with Google, such things. So in today's discussion, we'll discuss about AD B2C based authentication using local account. Let's start with creating an web application, .NET Core web application, and run it locally and add it to GitHub. Then we will add authentication to this application. So let's. Uh, I have already opened Visual Studio. I'll click on create a new project. So I've selected web all platforms and I'll select .NET Core web app Razor Pages. Click on next. I'll name it as Azure AD B2C demo. The solution name I'll as demo app. I'll click on next. Authentication type I'll keep it as none. I'm using .NET 8 framework. So I'll click on create. Yes, the Azure AD B2C demo app, the Razor Pages application is created. So it is a sample app which you get out of the box, which contains the index page which just says welcome and the privacy screens it has. So let's launch this application and just see the demo once. This is the demo app that we have created. So as you can see, it has this home page, which is the one that is the index page that is loaded, and it has a privacy page. So this is a sample app that we get out of the box. As you can see, I just launched this application and it just loaded the home page. It just loads the privacy page as well. So it doesn't have any authentication or authorization to it. So let's add the authentication authorization and see how it works later. Yes, let's create a GitHub repository for this. Let me click on this Git changes tab and let me click on this create Git repository. Is the create a Git repository pop-up that it has created. So this has taken the local path. The Git ignore template is default Visual Studio. Let it be this license template. Let me select MIT license for this. I'll click on add a readme file.
I've already logged into the GitHub, so it has already taken my account, the owner, the repository name. I'll keep it as it is. Visibility for now, I'll keep it as private, and then I'll click on create and push. So I'm creating this Git repository only to show what all files will be changed later as part of AD B2C configuration. So these are the files that are being tracked, and it also pushes those changes.
Yes, now we have created our application. Now let's look at the changes that we have to do, or the configurations that we have to do in Azure portal to add Azure AD B2C authentication to our application. So let's head over to Azure portal now. Yes, configuring Azure AD B2C authentication and authorization for any application involves multiple steps to be done in the Azure portal. So the first step is to create an Azure AD B2C tenant, which kind of represents an organization. So let me create a resource, and here search for Azure AD B2C. So let's select this Azure Active Directory B2C. Let's me click on create. Here, let's select create a new Azure AD B2C tenant. So here we have to give all these details, the organization name, which is the name of our organization. I'll say uh, demo or demo org. I'll say demo org. Location, I'll give it India. Okay, this is already in use. Demo promote org, I'll give. So with this subscription, the existing subscription I'll use. And for the resource group, let me select the existing one of the resource groups like ADBTC demo, and let me click on next. So validation passed. Let me click on create. It will take a little bit of time to create this tenant. Let's wait until the tenant creation process completes. Yes, tenant creation is successful. Let's go to that tenant. So it's loading. Yes. So it has loaded that tenant. So I would like to show you how to switch between tenants. If I click on this gear icon, there it will show all the directories. If you see now, the demo org which I created now is selected. So this is not the default directory. So all the Azure resources what we create are not in this directory. If I just go to all resources, there is nothing in this. So the default directory is the directory where we create our Azure resources. That is where all our Azure resources are present. And this, the new directory that we just created, that is for the authentication, ADB2C authentication. So from this is the place from where we can switch between the directories. So since now we have to set up in this new directory that we have created, so let's stay here. and I'll go to home, and then I'll look for Azure AD B2C resource or a service. Yes, so this is uh, the tenant that I have created. If you can see the demo promote org. So this is the first step where we have created a tenant with this domain name. So the next step in configuring authentication is to add user flows. So this is the user flow. Let me go there. So user flows are the different flows that we need, like sign up, register the user, sign in the user, to reset the password or edit profile. So whatever user flows we create, so Azure AD B2C provides its own screen for all those flows. For sign in, it provides its own screen. For sign in, sign up, forgot password. So for all those things, we have to create an user flow here. So let me start with the first user flow, that is the sign in and the sign up. So select this sign up and sign in. This is for both sign up and sign in. And that's the recommended be selected. And let me click on create. So it asks for a name. The standard name is Susie for this. It's called sign up, sign in. So let me give that. So identity providers are the different types you can log into your application, like different types of accounts your users can use to log into your application. So let me click on email sign up, which is what we are looking for. I will just multi-factor authentication, I'll just keep on email. MFA, I'll keep it as off for now, because if we select any of the other options like SMS and all, they are chargeable. So I just wanted to have it free, so I've just kept it off. Conditional access policy also, I'll keep it off. And these are something called claims. Okay, so whenever, what are the different what there are two things here, as you can see: collect attribute and the return claim. Collect attribute is what all different information we need from users. Return claim is what all information the AD B2C will return to our application. So let me click on show more. So what all information for sign up, sign in, what all information we require from user? We want a display name, email address, given name, maybe a surname. So in the sign in screen, in the sign up screen, these all information, it will ask from the user. It will ask user to enter the display name, it will ask user to enter the email address, the given name, surname. So based on what and all I select here, there will be a field, UI field, for the user to enter these details. And for the return claim, I would require the display name to display it on the application. I would require the email addresses. Given name, I may not need. I want to know whether the user is new, and also I want to know the user ID. So these all I'll select for the return claim. So with these things, let me click on OK. So let me click on OK. And let me click on create. So this is the sign up, sign in flow. Maybe I think we will also require forgot password. So let's keep that. Let's add that as well. Password reset. And I'll have the recommended selected and click on create. And here I'll just name it as reset. And I'll select reset password using email address, so that whenever we click on forgot password, it will send the link or the link to reset our password to our email. Type of method, I'll keep it as email. MFA enforcement, I'll keep it as off. And enforce conditional access policy, I will not select that. So whenever we change password, what all information we want our AD B2C to return to our application. So obviously we want to have the user object ID, and we want to have the email address, display name as well. Yes, with these things, I don't need a surname, or I don't even need the given name here. So I'll click on OK with these things, and I'll click on create. So we have two user flows created. So this is a second step in configuring AD B2C for any application. The third step would be registering our application in AD B2C. So I'll go to app registrations, and I'll click on a new registration. So I'll give it as Azure AD B2C demo. It says accounts in any INT provider or organization directory for authenticating users with user flows. This is what we are using. So I'll have this as selected. So redirect URI, I'll select it as web, since we are adding it for a web application. So for this redirect URI, maybe I'll keep it as blank for now. I'll come back and select it later. So with these, I'll have these things here, and I'll click on register. So now we have registered our application. So registering application will gives an unique ID for the application, like the application ID. This is the application ID and the display name, and we have our redirect URIs here. So these are the so this is the third step, is to register our application. Yeah, with these things, the Azure configurations, what we have to do is complete. So the next step is to configure our application to use this AD B2C authentication, the app registration that we have created. We'll require all the details, like the client ID of the application, and the tenant ID, and the domain that we have given. So we'll use all these things to configure our application. Now we are at the last step, where we need to make changes to our application to add Azure AD B2C authentication. For that, we need to configure our application to use the AD B2C tenant and the app registration that we have created. Before that, if you remember, we did not configure the redirect URI in the Azure AD B2C app registration. So for to configure the um, redirect URL, let me launch this application again. Yes, as you can see, it is launching with the port 7156. So this is the URL. Let me copy this and go back to Azure portal. Let me go to Azure portal. Let me check the tenant that it is currently pointing to. So it is pointing to demo org. So this is fine. So let me search for Azure AD B2C recent service, which is under recent service. Here, let me go to app registrations. Yeah, here you can see it is showing as under the owned applications. It is showing this application that we have just created. If in case it is not showing, you'll have to add yourself as an owner, and then it will show here. Then let's click on this. Here, this redirect URI, let's click on this. Yeah, here let me say add a platform. Let me select web. Redirect URI, let me go back to this application. Yeah, it is running at this 7156 port. So let me paste it over here. It has to end with sign in underscore OIDC. Let me correct the spelling. It should be sign in underscore OIDC. So let me click on configure. Yeah, now it is updated. So I can see the redirect URI that has been added. We have just added. These are the existing ones. So front channel logout URL, I'll not configure for now. And I'll have both of these checkbox selected, access tokens and the ID tokens. These are the tokens that will be issued back to our application. So with these, in case if I modify something, then I'll have to save. But since I have not modified anything, it is not asking me to save anything here. In case if it is not checked for you, you'll have to check both of these things and click on save. Yes, with this we have configured our application, configured the redirect URI of our application in the Azure portal. Now let's, I'll stop my application running. Let's configure this application to use the tenant ID, the Azure AD B2C tenant, and the app registration that we have created. For that, let me click on this connected services. It says no service dependency discovered. Let me click on add, and here let me select Microsoft Identity Platform. Here it is asking required components. So let me select this and click on next. It will install the required components. And in Visual Studio also, I have logged in with the same account with which I was logging into Azure portal as well, my Gmail account. So here it is listing all the tenants. So with here we'll select the one that we have created, that is a demo organization. And it will list all the applications under that organization. So it is already showing one AD B2C demo. Let me select that and click on next. We are not using any API. We don't need any permissions for another API as part of this. So let me leave it blank and click on next. I'll have all these checkbox selected and let me click on finish. So it would take a while to configure this. To install the required packages, and it will also check the different custom profiles that we have created, user flows that we have created. So after all these things, yeah, now this step is complete. So let me click on close. Let me just click on save all. So now with these changes, let me try to launch my application again. As you can see now, the I have launched the application. Now it is going to sign in page. So now all the required configurations that are required to be made from our application is as part of Azure AD B2C authentication is completed. That's why it is going to sign in page. If you can see now, it has an authentication. So just for testing purpose, let me go with temp email and I'll get a temporary email address from here, so that since I don't have a sign, I'll have to go for the sign up flow now. Let me click on sign up now. And here we would require all these details to sign up the user. So first thing is the email address. That's why I have going to this temp mail to get one of the email address. So let me copy this and paste it over here. Let me say send verification code. So what happens here is in this temp mail, we also receive the email. Here there's an inbox as well. As you can see, there is an email received. Microsoft on behalf of demo organization. This is the organization name that we have given. There's an email that will receive. This would have the code. So let me copy this code and paste it over here and say verify code. So the code is verified now. So I'll have to give the new password. I'll say suggest strong password. So display name, I'll say test. Given name, I would say like user. Surname I would say as one. So with these things, I'll click on create. So it has saved my password as well. As you can see now, I am authenticated. I have logged in. You can also see my display name here displayed as hello test. So now as you can see, the authentication has been added to our application, and it is working as expected. I can go to privacy screen, home screen, since we have only added the authentication part. So now let's see what all changes were done to add this authentication. What all changes were done to our application. So let me hit back to Visual Studio and let me see in the Git changes. As you can see, these are the files that have been modified by Visual Studio to add AD B2C authentication for our application. So let me first check with the program.cs. It has added many of the using statements, and mainly it has added this dependency service.add authentication, and it has added OpenID connect defaults dot authentication scheme, and it has added Microsoft Identity Web App. And this is where it is fetching from the configuration builder.configuration.get section Azure AD. If you remember, we didn't have any of this section earlier. This has been added by Visual Studio. You can see these all changes are been added. It has added a new Azure AD JSON object. It has this instance. It has domain. It has tenant ID, client ID, all these things. Tenant ID. So client ID is the application ID that we have registered in the Azure portal. So let's just check that back actually. So if you see, this is the client ID. The same client ID has been added over here. C97FC, 7FC. This is the one. And the domain name is demopromote.org.microsoft.com. If I click on this ADB2C and go to overview, here is the domain name that it has fetched. And these are the different policies that we have created, like B2C underscore one underscore SUSI for sign up, sign in. And this is the reset that we have created for the reset password. So this is a callback path, the slash sign in underscore OIDC that we have created. So it has used, it has brought all those identifiers and configured in our application. Yes. And other than that, uh, what else we have seen? I add Microsoft Identity UI. It's added use authentication. It has added map controllers, and it has made some changes to layout.cshtml. So it has added one partial tag over here. It is pointing to login partial, which is this file. Here, actually, it is checking whether the user is authenticated. If not, I guess this is navigating to that login screen. This is taking back to that sign in screen. Oh, it's about the visibility, whether the sign out screen has to sign out thing has to be visible or the sign in has to be visible. Yes, with this we have configured our application to use Azure AD B2C authentication. So it is a very easy. If we just can follow a few steps, we can add authentication to our application, and it is very secure as well, simple and a secure way of authenticating an application. And it also supports other type of, even the desktop applications or the single page applications. We can use Azure AD B2C for that. And also Azure AD B2C supports social account based authentication and authorization as well.